Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little video on my Paradigm crossbody bag. There is other sewing tutorials of this one, but this one's extra special because I made this bag for my grandmother, my Nana, as we call her. She is a feisty little lady and I couldn't love her more. And so I made her the Paradigm crossbody. I used the corner accents. If you're unfamiliar with the Paradigm, it is a small crossbody bag that can also go into a clutch if you remove the strap. So there are a couple amendments that I made to this pattern, as you will see in the video. Namely, the biggest one is I did not use the traditional strap connectors as the pattern is written. I found really cool little D-ring connectors, and so I will go over all of that in the video there towards the end. But yeah, so the overall size of the bag is about 10 by 7. When it's completed, it has a 2-inch base. It is perfect for a tall wallet. Fits that amazingly. It has the top zipper closure and it's just all open on the inside, and then it has one back zipper. So it is just the nuts and bolts of a bag pattern, but it is really a great size unless you carry the kitchen sink. If you do, then maybe this could be a kitchen sink bag organizer. Yeah, so I think that's really about it. Oh, this video is a voiceover situation. I do not do these. This is probably one of my first ones that I've ever done. So you will hear real time me explaining the process, but I filmed a video last week. So it was a surprise to me as I was watching it again. So it's kind of funny. I think it's funny. I think my jokes are hilarious, but I hope that you enjoy the voiceover and stay tuned for the end to see pictures of my Nana with her new bag. Enjoy. So you can see here that I am using my acrylic template set to cut out my Paradigm. This set comes with every single piece that is included in the printed pattern. Now I sped this part of the video up because I spent some time using my clear template to figure out exactly where I wanted the sunflower placement to be. I wanted to ensure that they were not going to be obstructed by the zipper box or by the corners. So you see me cutting it out and, doing all that. And then here I'm trying to figure out which accent color I want. You can see I choose to go with the olive, and I cut out my corners here, but I want them to be a little bit smaller to really showcase that main sunflower in the center there. And then I'm cutting out my strap. Now my Nana is just a little sprite of a gal, so I didn't have to make it adjustable, which is nice. Here I am clipping it together, and then I move on to gluing down my corners to ensure that they do not move or shift when I'm sewing. Cutting out my zipper box here on the back of the Paradigm, and then I'm going to Mod Podge my edges to ensure that when the zipper is being used, it's not going to make the cork fray. Okay, now we are on to picking out a zipper color. You can see here that I spend quite some time trying to find the perfect match. My grandmother really likes earth tones, so it kind of goes against me adding a pop of color, which is something that I tend to do on bags. So you see, I'm just really struggling. I was really into that darker red color. Brandon really liked the bright orange because it pulled out the orange in the sunflowers, and I thought about it and I considered it. But you'll see here in a minute, I go against his expert advice and choose a different color. I'm just not loving it for some reason. So here we are. I just go with the standard beige, but I actually did the Tiramisu stripe zippers from Zipper Valley. I really love it. They added a really subtle color variation while adding, just a pop of fun, but still being in the earth tone category. And here I am riding the struggle bus trying to get those zipper pulls on. I wanted to use the limited edition zipper pulls, but I was having a really hard time getting them on. And then I eventually did and pulled it off the other zipper pull and went back to the limited editions. Okay, now I'm gluing in my back zipper here. You want to be sure that everything is nice and centered so that it looks nice when it's all done. And then I switch over to double stick tape, and I am laying my interior pocket pieces. I interfaced my pockets with Decaville Light, and you can see I'm trimming off just the bottom 1/4 inch, so that way when I'm sewing and I flip it all through, it has a nice folded edge. Okay, so we are going to begin sewing. I'm using a size stitch 4 length there. You can see I just pointed to it. And I'm doing a quilt binding method on this strap just for added durability. So I laid my strap sections right sides together at a right angle, and then I sewed at an angle down and across. You can see now that it's going to be attached a little bit different than how I normally do it. This is just a new thing that I've been trying out. I like it on some straps. I don't like it on others. It adds a lot of bulk, but it does seem to be a little bit stronger. So, of course, trimming all the threads, and then that is what it looks like when it's top stitched. We're going to toss that over to the other side of the table and move on to the next section. Slowly. Doing voiceovers is really interesting. I have not watched this video since I filmed it. Okay, now I'm just stitching down 1/8 of an inch from my corners here. And I'm still using that same stitch length. And if you want to, you can add Mod Podge to those sections too that will be exposed. I don't see a whole lot of fraying happening with the corners like that, so I just left it. And then normally I would trim my corners off here, but I had a stroke of genius. Oh, whoops, did it upside down. Oh well. But I had a stroke of genius. I thought maybe having the corners would make for, or leaving the corners attached instead of trimming them underneath would make the base be a little bit sturdier. So you see, I didn't trim those down. I left them there. And now I'm moving on to my zipper. Now I'm going to start at the right side and sew down across the bottom and then back up on the left side. And I am not back stitching here. You will see why in just a minute. So I'm sewing down that right side, pivoting, and then sewing across the bottom. And then, of course, when you get close to your zipper pull, you're going to move it out of the way so that you can still have nice straight stitches. Okay, so now I'm going to pivot and come up that opposite side, sew up about 3 stitches, and then leave tails so that you have something to tie off. So I'm going to flip, and so you can see here my tails are, I'm pulling them towards the back now. And I'm using thick Tech 70 thread, so this part is a lot easier to do than with that Gutermann Mara 120 that I used to use a whole bunch. Okay, so I'm going to pull the pocket bottom down toward the inside of the bag, and I'm going to pull on those stitches to show the thread. And so I'm going to finger press this out of the way, and then I'm going to pull my stitches toward the back of the panel so that way I can tie them off. Using the sticker thread is really nice. It's super sturdy. It's easy to tie off, but if you're back stitching, it's pretty apparent. So I wanted to be able to pull it to the back and really mask those stitches. So here I am pulling, after I pulled my pocket bottom down, I'm pulling the stitches out to where they're right on top of the zipper teeth. And I'm going to speed this up because this is painfully slow. Okie dokie. Now we got them all tied off and we got them trimmed. So this is what it should look like on the back, just the knots right over the zipper tape. I'm going to fold that pocket top down and I'm going to start my stitching from the place that I ended my stitching before. And again, be sure to leave long tails so that we can tie off. And I'm being really careful here to make sure that my needle ends up in the same hole as before. So I'm going to sew up this side, pivot with my needle down, and then sew across the top, again moving my zipper pull out of the way to ensure that my stitches stay nice and straight. Now I'm stopping again in the same needle holes, leaving some long tails, and then I'm going to pull my threads again to the back and tie off And this time you can just tie off normally. You don't have to worry about centering them over the zipper teeth. Again, I'm going to speed this up because, oof, painful, slow. Okay, we are all tied off and ready to go. And now what we need to do is fold this right side main panel up out of the way. We're going to stitch down over the zipper teeth and come over just to about 1 inch to 1.25 inches across that bottom, leaving a turning hole and stitching again down the opposite side and back up to create that zipper pocket interior. Now I'm sewing right off of my interfacing. I did that intentionally because I wanted to have a softer turned inside edge. I notice on a lot of my paradigms, whenever I leave my interfacing all the way to the bottom of the pocket panel, when I flip and top stitch that pocket closed, it leaves a really thick seam. So I wanted to try trimming my interfacing down to avoid that excessively large seam in there. And spoiler alert, it works great. So I will be adding that to future bags. But here I am, I sewed up the opposite side, stitched over my zipper teeth, and this is what it looks like when it's all done. Ta-da! Magic trick. I really love the zipper tape and the zipper pull, but this thicker zipper tape definitely makes it a little bit harder to pull open that zipper, which really is fine, but just something to consider. Okay, here we are. Now I have to finish my strap. I'm trimming off that little section where I combine my two pieces, and then I'm also trimming down any overhang to make sure that both sides of my strap are even. And then now, just like a normal paradigm, I'm going to fold this strap into thirds. So I'm just eyeballing this, but if you wanted to, you could easily take a ruler and make marks at 1/2 inch on either side from the long edge and really keep track of your width. But I've made, I don't know, probably a bajillion of these, and so I'm just folding it into thirds, eyeballing it, and clipping it all the way up until it's all ready to go. You can see my cute little clip basket there that I made from the 12 Days of Christmas. So this is where I really think about, oh, let me just leave the bottoms to add extra structure. So doing a little pondering, and I decide to go for it. So now what I'm going to do is I need to create a zipper sandwich. So taking my zipper tape, laying it right side down, and having my zipper pull at the top left side of my main panel. I'm going to use some 1/8 inch double stick tape and make this sandwich. Who doesn't love a sandwich? I like all types of sandwiches. Before I stopped eating meat, a turkey sandwich was my favorite. And in the last several years of being a vegetarian, I have found a really good replacement. So back to loving sandwiches again. And then, of course, sandwiches in the sewing room with zippers. Ooh, back of the head. Need to get my roots done. Don't mind that. And a little bit of bed head. I woke up like this. All right, so you can see here where the tape likes to bubble because the zipper pull is in the way. Very carefully, you can move it out of the way and lay that zipper tape so that it's nice and straight along that top edge, and then you won't have any funky zipper bubbles. Okay, I'm going to lay another strip of my 1/8 inch zipper or double stick tape along the top edge of the zipper. And if you use 1/8, it works really well because then you can avoid hitting it with your needle when you're sewing. So I'm really a fan of this 1/8 inch DST. Okay, now I'm laying my lining right side down onto that zipper. Tap, 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 tap into place. Make sure everything is nice and lined up along that top edge. We want to make sure everything is nice and straight. If you do the work now, you won't have to go back and fix it. Now we need to go sew right across the top there on the other side of the table. Oh, forgot something. I'm going to use my acrylic template on the lining panel, and I'm going to go ahead and I need to taper my right edges. I didn't use my template to cut out this piece before, so I'm going back with my template and adding that taper. And then, of course, the taper makes the lining sit really nice on the inside of the bag once it's all complete. Use my handy dandy little corner cutouts here, make those marks. And I didn't actually, like I said, I didn't use this before when I was cutting, so I'm just going to mark it with my silver marking pen here, and then I'll cut that after I sew it. Okay, now to the sewing machine. So same stitch length with cork side up. I'm going to start my stitch lines back stitching well, and I'm going to stitch my zipper sandwich here all the way across, moving my zipper pull out of the way, of course. Be really careful if you do this that you don't pull your zipper pull off, because that is annoying. Okay, trim my threads, and then now I'm going to finger press my main panel up out of the way on top of my zipper tape. I'm not going to sew over my lining. This is a personal preference. You can sew the lining if you want to. I find that things get a little wonky doodle when I try to do that, so I always just stitch the exterior down to the zipper tape. Never had a problem with the zipper or with the lining getting stuck in the zipper. So I've been doing this for years now. It just makes everything look really nice. And then you don't have to worry about the lining stitch line. I don't know why, but I could never make it look pretty when I was trying to do both. Okay, so now you just need to fold your lining back toward the back there, and then that side is all done. And the fun part, the straps. Everybody hates making straps. I kind of dig it now. I've made so many that I don't hate it anymore. I will say I had to make about 10 the other day though, and that was a little annoying. It was trying just to sew a bunch, and then of course using the thicker thread, I kept running out of bobbins, and yeah, it was a train wreck. But I got there in the end. But here I am. So I started on the right side of the zip or of the strap, and I'm sewing 1/8 inch from the long edge, and you can see here I'm just going in sections from clip to clip essentially, and I'm unclipping, and then I'm double checking my folds to make sure that everything is nice and even. You can see I'm making minute adjustments as I go. And then once you get this side done, the other side's a breeze because that's the folded edge. So we are almost there. And then now when you get down toward the bottom, I always pivot, sew across that really tiny short edge, and then you're off to the races on the other side. I just lay a finger on the right side and a finger on the left side, away from the needle, obviously. You see where I place my fingers right there, and then that's my guideline. I do not move my fingers for the entirety of the strap. That's how I sew all of my straps. It's just like having a seam guide. I just use my hands as my seam guide. And I get really nice straight stitches. So, yay, how fun. It's always fun to see how quickly I can sew up that long straight side. Be sure to trim those threads. And I'll meet you on the other side of the table. So right here, I'm just checking all of my sides here. There was one little spot that looked a little funky, so I'm going to trim that here in a second, but I'm burning my threads and any little fuzzies. And then I'm clipping my corners here at the little angles that I do on everything. That obviously is optional. You do not have to do that. I love this thread because it is polyester, so it burns really nicely. And yeah, it gets out of the way. Okie dokie, so our strap is all done. You can set that to the side for now. And then I need to get my back panel. And I'm going to do the same thing with my zipper sandwich. So 1/8 double stick tape, if I can find the end. Somewhere here. Where are you? Double stick tape. There we go. Okay, so across the top edge, just like before. Make sure it's not twisted. And wow, this is taking a long time. Okay, so there we go. So you're going to peel off that double stick tape. Make sure to pull up your sleeves. And then we're going to lay the completed main panel on top. So right sides together, zipper tape. Check out my hair again. Man, wolf. I'm so glad I have got my hair done since this video. Okay, there we go. So now we are off to the other side with the double stick tape. And we're going to lay our lining down. Be sure to lay right sides together as per usual. Oops, I accidentally cut that. Here we go. Okay. So right sides together, zipper sandwich, tap, tap, tap. Make sure everything's all lined up. You know the drill. And now we're going to go back to the sewing, to the sewing machine, that's what it is, and stitch across that section there. So same as before, about a 1/4 inch away. I just like to line up the right side of my Teflon foot to the edge of my zipper sandwich, and that is my guide for how thick my what's it called, seam allowance is. So trim, and then again I'm flipping only the main panel back, finger pressing here, so my lining is down toward the other side of the main panel, and then I'm going to stitch across to stitch this into place. And now you'll see that I omitted the strap anchors. I'm going to use these fancy little D-ring connector thingies that I've been using recently that I really love. So you'll see that later on in the video, but that is why I don't have the strap connectors, in case you were wondering. You know, I always say that my patterns are just a lift off for your creativity, and I feel the same way about my own creativity. I discover new hardware and new techniques, and then I implement them. So that's what I'm doing here. I do not remember what I forgot on the other side of the table. Let's see. This will be a surprise to all of us. What am I looking for over there? I don't know, but it's taken a while. That's so boring. Oh, here it comes. Where'd it go? Oh, a tag. Aha. Yep. Even just doing this voiceover, I totally would have forgotten that too. So I'm glad I remembered that. And I can add it after the fact because I definitely don't like to brand my pieces once they're already in the construction phase. So here I am. I'm just centering it. If I had to guess, it's probably about 1.75 inches from the bottom of my zipper box there. So now I'm just going to attach it. And my thread messed up, of course, because why wouldn't it? Another reason I really like this thread is it makes threading the needles so incredibly easy because it's so thick and it has so much body to it that it just goes right through the eye of the needle. Okay, let's stitch our tag on. Ooh. Okie dokie artichoke. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim up my little interior pockets here, especially along this bottom section, just so that I can get a nice clean folded edge after I flip the bag through this hole. So trim, trim, trim. And then now what we want to do Well, that was silly. I don't know. Anyway, so unzip your zippers. Make sure they're unzipped. You're going to lay your mains together and your linings together, centering your zipper tape. And that's what I'm really focusing on here. I'm trying to ensure that my zipper is nice and centered, for lack of a better term, on both ends here, so that when the bag is all done and completed, one side of the zipper is at the same height as the other side. Otherwise, it's just going to look super funky. Okay, so I got to trim that other lining that I couldn't do earlier because I had already sewn it, or was about to sew it. So I do that. Add a little clip down there for posterity. I'm double checking my folds here, just trying to ensure that everything is meeting up nicely. But sometimes when I make my zipper meet up, my bottoms don't. But you still want to try to make everything as even as possible. Okay, so I'm trimming out my bottom corners here. Those are the marks that I made using my clear templates. I really need to get these scissors sharpened. It's so annoying using them, but I don't know anybody who does that. Hey. Okay, trimming the lining boxes here. And now we are ready to go. Now I'm going to go and sew around the entire perimeter. So I'm going to start here on one of my zipper sides. And I'm not going to worry about back stitching yet because, oh, well, psych, I did back stitch, haha. But even if you don't back stitch right then, it's fine because you're going to go back over it when you meet that side again. So I'm stitching all the way up to that little box edge. I'm getting very, very close to the edge, and then you can see with my needle down, I smush the bottom up to meet with that corner. And that is on purpose because it makes lining up the box bottom so easy. There we go. There's the second box bottom. Shout out to Lauren Mormino for that tip. Now go nice and slow over the zipper because the zipper teeth are really thick here, so I like to hand crank over it if it's a little too thick. And this specific zipper tape is very thick because of the actual tape itself. So slow and steady wins the race here. Slow and steady also ensures no broken needles. Gosh, it looks like I'm really wrestling with it. I have a strong upper arm. All right, here we go to the third box bottom. I'm doing the same exact technique as before. And I'm stitching, 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 stitching. Always stitching. Okay, fourth and final box bottom. And then now when I get back up onto these zipper teeth, I'm going to be really careful, but back stitch well. Okay, now you're going to reach inside of your lining pocket and you're going to poke out all of those box bottoms. And if you haven't done this yet, this is such a game changer, doing your box bottoms like this. Because you poke your little finger through and then you'll see that your seams are just perfectly lined up. So I'm going to do that on all four of my bottoms, clip and sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And don't be afraid at this point, you're going to have to bend your bag. So just go for it, muscle it. You are stronger than the bag. If you crease your cork, you can steam it or iron it out later. But obviously you want to ensure that the integrity and the structure of the bag is there. So make sure that you are handling your bag so that you get all of your seams nice and solid. So I'm finishing up the lining here, and now I'm going to flip and do the same thing on my main panel. This one's a little bit more challenging to get to just because of the layout of the bag, but it can be done, so get her done. So because I left the bottom on the front main panel, I didn't trim off the corners on the inside. I'm having an extra layer of cork here that I've never had to contend with. So that's what you see me kind of going back and forth and butterflying that seam open and figuring out which way is going to make it the most level. And so I just laid all the cork to one side, the opposite side of that main panel. So I laid them all toward the back main. Okay, so we got one more little bottom here. Here we go with the butterfly again. And clip. And then you can kind of pull on the edges. You see me kind of pull on the edges like that. And what that does is it straightens out the seam farther into the fold to ensure that the seam is really laying straight whenever you flip the bag right side out. And you probably don't know what I'm talking about unless you've accidentally sewn it at an angle, but it makes the whole bottom of the bag lay funky if it's not laying straight, which, you know, makes sense. Okay, so trim up threads and go get a pair of scissors because you left them on the other side of the table. And now I'm going to trim up my bottoms here. And my zipper tapes here. And I'm going to trim my lining down a touch. I like to trim my linings just so that when everything is right side out, there isn't excess on the inside of the bag taking up space. So I always like to trim my linings. But a lot of times I don't trim the main panel side. So it just kind of all depends on my mood, the bag, and how good of a job I did, really, honestly. Okay, so after this, we are in the final stretch. We need to flip the bag right side out. You're going to reach into that pocket. And I like to do the lining first. I put my fingers up there in the corners, and then I tuck it into the hand that's on the inside of the bag and pull on those corners first. I don't really know if it is easier or helpful. It's just the way that I've always done it. And then that way you can ensure that those corners are going to be nice and poked out. They're not going to be all weird looking. Okay, so go in. You're going to poke out the main panel or the main body of the bag here. And then I like to roll, ouch, just did something to my finger, but I like to roll my seam on that top zipper. I kind of like to roll it between my fingers to get the lining to go down into the bag. And you're going to have to work these corners just a little bit because of the way that I designed the pattern. It's going to have angled edges at the top corner section or top zipper sections. So you'll just have to, once you get the lining in, you see I put both hands in, I tuck in my corners, I kind of tug on them to get everything to lay nicely, and then you'll see I pull on the top section right there. I just kind of did it. Oh, there's a thread in there. I'll get that later. But so I'm going to pull on the top section and pull those corners toward each other. But apparently not right there. I'll do it later. Okay, so right now I'm putting my thumb on the inside of my interior pocket, and then I put my pointer finger on the other opposite side, and I can flip it, and it makes it a nice turned edge there. And then now I'm going to fold my raw edges in toward each other, and if you just kind of tug on each corner, you'll see that it naturally starts to fold in on itself, especially because I cut down that inner facing, and it's going to create a nice folded edge. Yeah, so kind of roll it in on itself. I'd like to toss a couple clips onto one side, and then you'll see I flip the entire bag over and match the other raw edge fold. So there's one side, and then now I'm going to match the other side. And so you can see the cotton just kind of, oops, I don't know what happened there. The whole video skipped. Well, you're just going to have to trust me. I did that, and then I stitched across it to close up that hole. Okay, on to these cool little D-ring thingies. I found these a couple months ago, and I've been using them on a lot of my bags. I really, really love them. They're just little guys, 1/2 inch maybe D-rings. And these are the same D-ring brackets that they use on hiking boots. And I do not know what I used to find them, but I found them, and I put them on everything now. I put them on big bags, little bags, medium bags, all sorts of bags. But I'm going to lay it right there where the normal connector would go. And so on the front side of the bag, I do it at the top right. And usually I would just eyeball this, but I think I was trying to be fancy. Oh, yep, my new zipper template. My zipper template has a little rivet template on it, so I'm using that to get my spacing correct. Like I said, normally I would eyeball it, but you know, I'm filming, so you have to do it right, right? Do as I say, not as I do. But yeah, so I am using my little rivet template marker thingy-majig to mark my holes. And then now I'm going to put this rivet through the entire panel, the front and the lining. Now I'm going to go to the other side, punch that hole. This is a radial hand tool, leather punch tool. I have no idea where I got it. I've had it for years and years, but if you just search radial hand punch, you'll see them pop up. Okay, so you put the long section of the rivet through the D-ring hardware, and I'm ensuring that the D-ring itself is facing up toward the zipper, and then I'm going to put the cap on the back end. Oh yeah, I guess an important detail in this is I use double cap rivets because you're going to see the inside of, you're going to see the other side of the rivet on the inside of the bag. So I like to use double cap rivets. And now I just need to add the second one here. Same process, making sure that the D-ring itself is facing up. Another reason I like these little D-ring rivets is if you carry the Paradigm as a clutch, which a lot of times people don't, but I did design this bag to be small enough to be carried as a clutch. These little D-rings just flip right down, and then you don't have a D-ring sticking up on your zipper. So that's another reason I like these. They're just so subtle and cute and really strong. I really, really like them. Oh, so you can see there just a minute ago, I did the pull. See how I'm kind of pulling on the top section here where the zipper is. Oh yeah, I got to cut that thread from earlier. Little bugger. And then, yeah, so I just kind of play with the, there we go, there's the pull. I just did it again. I just kind of play with it and manipulate it so that everything lays nicely. Zip up my zippers, make sure everything is nice and works correctly. And there we go. My little bag's all done. There's the D-ring. Here, that's how it flips down. See? So cute, so cute. Love it. And there's the bag. So now the last thing that I need to do is make my strap. Now, if you caught it earlier, my Nana is just a teeny tiny little thing. So I am not making this adjustable. So I'm just going to put 2 lobster clasps, one on either end. And so I just added the lobster clasp, folded it up over the hardware, and then I'm adding a rivet. And I'm going to do this on both sides. Okay, so here I'm showing you. I like to have my folded edge go toward what will be the inside of the bag. On a swivel lobster clasp, kind of any side is the inside, but I don't really know. I always just try to make it so that it's going to go toward the inside. Oh, here I am changing my mind. I decided to not use the cheap hardware for my grandmother because, you know, she's not a cheap lady. So I got my nice hardware out. And I'm switching out those lobster clasps. So you can see the difference here. One is just a regular D-ring swivel, but I'm going for the nice, bigger hardware. I thought I was running low on them, and then I just found a whole bunch of them in my stash the other day. So keeping proper inventory would be helpful. We're going to have to pop that rivet out so that I can add the nicer clasp on this edge. Put that rivet back in. And then using my press, I'm just going to press those rivets into place. And this bag is done. 40 minutes, baby. All right. Little clippy clip there. Clippy clip here. Get that out of the way there. Oh, got to push on that corner a little bit. All right, there we go. Ta-da, bag all done. Now, I have to peel these plastic things off. Historically, I am terrible at getting those off. See, they say limited edition. I figured I would do that because my Nana is also limited edition. Here we go. I'm struggling on this one. I can never get these plastic covers off of this stuff. Cute. I love it. I hoard this sunflower cork, and I figured that my Nana deserves it. Okay, I thought that I would also show you how I package up. Now, I package my bags like this when I ship them as well, but I just thought that I would wrap it up for my Nana, you know, go all out. Why not? Why not? So I got these cool boxes from Eco Enclose. The boxes themselves are really inexpensive, but their shipping just kills me. So I normally wait until I have to order a bunch of stuff from them and just swallow my pride and pay the shipping whenever I need a grip of items. But you can get any size boxes. These are called tab lock boxes, I believe. They have tuck boxes as well. but you can get any size that you want. So I'm pretty sure these are like probably 10 by 7, if I had to guess. 10 inches by 7 inches by 2 inches tall. And so I like to take my straps off and then, oh, found some rogue threads here. Let me burn those real quick. But I like to take my straps off and coil them, and I put them inside of the bag that I'm shipping so that it doesn't get all bent and weird inside the box. Noticing a little something funky there, but all right, just plod along. And then I always use craft paper, and you can see this is recycled craft paper. I just keep everything, all the shipping things that I ever receive, I always keep everything that comes in and just recycle that. These tuck boxes are about the only thing that I pay for new. And so I gifted my Nana this, and then I took the box back too. So it is also going to be used twice. But you can see the Paradigm fits in there perfectly, and then it just tucks right in. And what's great is these boxes store flat, so that's really nice. And that's why they're my favorite. And then I was like, oh, this is boring. What can I put on it to jazz it up? Oh, I know. One little paper SewGnar sticker. And then I didn't even care, or I didn't even take the care and line it up. I just slapped it right on there, because why not? So here she is. I gifted it to her that day. Here she's opening it up. Seems a little bit perplexed as to why I would have wrapped it in brown paper, but whatever. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner of this video is a gray Glenda crossbody that I made for her too. So #1 granddaughter award. Yeah, so here she is checking it out. She seems overall pretty happy, but you know, in pure Nana fashion, as soon as I stopped filming this, she saw the new crossbody bag that I have been testing out and said, oh, I want one of those. So yeah, anyways, hope you enjoy your bag, Nana. And here she is holding it. Oh my goodness, isn't she so cute? Gosh, I don't know when she got so tiny, but this is literally one of my favorite people in the entire universe. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks, bye.